to the CNN debate. Who will be the DNC chair? All the candidates are here. Next question. Secretary Perez, recently you said that the primary was rigged against Bernie Sanders. Later the same day, you said you misspoke when you made those comments. Which is it?
Well, here are the facts. Hillary Clinton won the Democratic primary. Hillary Clinton also won the popular vote. At the same time, because of the absence of transparency in the Democratic primary, there was a crisis of trust that ensued. And what we need in the chair of the Democratic Party is to make sure that in fact and in perception, every single day, you are fair and neutral. That's why when you asked the question before about primaries, you have to let the primary process go. If I were the chair, if I have the privilege of winning, for instance, one of the things I would recommend would be that we set the primary debate schedule long in advance of when we know who the candidates are. We have to do everything to make sure we are fair and transparent. And it's not only in how we set the primary process. The DNC is a black hole. And we have a crisis of confidence because it is. And that's why the leader of the DNC needs to make sure that we are investing in
hold on a second.
Secretary,
Secretary, 10 seconds. Was it rigged or not?
Again, the process, because of the absence of transparency, it created that crisis of relevance. And it created the distrust that people didn't trust the outcome.
Mr. Ronan, was it rigged or not?
Thank you. I was going to interrupt anyway. The point is, not only was the primary rigged, it was also rigged all across the country because the DNC has never allowed outsiders or brand new people to rise through the ranks. It has always been an insider game, and it has been that way for a very, very long time. That is where that lack of trust has come into play. Because not only was Bernie Sanders snubbed, not only did it look like Hillary Clinton had bought or muscled her way into it, then those supporters were denied a chance to speak at the convention, and that was the final straw. If people don't have a voice, an equitable voice, like I alluded to earlier, then people are not going to trust the system, and they are going to go out of their way to break it.
Secretary Perez, is Mr. Ronan wrong?
Well, again, we need every single day, as the leader of the Labor Department, the leader of the Civil Rights Division, and I hope to be the leader of the Democratic Party, we have to do everything in a transparent fashion. And when you do that, you earn trust. Trust isn't something you're given.
I would
it's
like
something
to say
you earn.
I think that's a long way of saying
the Democratic Party.
Why, Mr. Mayor, why?
This is why I got motivated to get into this. We can't allow this to devolve into factional struggle. Of course there were problems with 2016. Nobody could say that there weren't. But I didn't love living through the 2016 primary the first time. I don't know why we as a party would want to live through it a second time. We have got to look forward, not back. The wolf isn't just at the gates. The wolf is through the gates and eating our sheep right now. And this idea that this is going to be a factional struggle between the Bernie wing and the establishment wing is missing the point. We've got to take it to the real opposition, which is the Republicans, who are in power from the top of the ticket all the way down to school
Mr.
boards.
Mayor, Ms. Boynton-Brown?
The reality is that the world has moved to a place where the Democratic Party is no longer keeping up with it. There are more independents than there are registered party people, and those independents want a place to play in the primary system. And so you have a system that's been in place, as Sam said, that's no longer serving the people in our country. I talk a lot about New Power. If you haven't heard me, you can go to thisisnewpower.com. And this is what the people in our country are demanding our systems go towards. Something that's collaborative, something that's truly inclusive, and something that's transparent. And it's an issue that has to be dealt with. We cannot just throw it under the rug and say we've got to move forward in the future.
Ms.
We've got
Boynton-Brown,
to
thank you. Hold on a second. Congressman Ellison, picking up on Ms. Boynton-Brown's point, it must not be swept under the rug. It must be dealt with. How? Do you issue an apology to Bernie Sanders? Do you own what happened? How do you move forward if you don't own the past?
Well, Donna Brazile went to the Bernie supporters, and she did issue an apology. That happened. Now we have a unity commission, which is going to be appointed by somebody in this group. And I think we absolutely have to make sure that in the future, every person who wants to vote for a Democrat must feel that it was fair, open, and accessible and transparent. That is a mission, but I'm telling you, the real problem is ahead of us. People are organizing in the street right now. I believe I'm the unity candidate in this race because I supported both Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. And I believe I can pull the people together so that we can come together as a party and we can win elections so that we don't ever have to go through this thing anymore. Donald Trump is wreaking havoc on the American people, and the Democratic Party has to be the agent of the American people, not an agent unto itself. And so I believe we have to move this thing forward and not engage in the ruinous who shot John. We got to come together, people, and fight the real enemy. That's the real deal.
Chairman, quickly.
I agree with Keith, but one of the first lessons you learn in politics is perception becomes reality, right? And for a number of folks, they do believe, they use the terminology rigged. Now, one of the things, I'm a lawyer, what is the definition of rigged? Are we saying that voting machines were rigged for Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders? Sam, is that what you're saying?
Absolutely not. What I'm saying is the system in of itself is exclusive to just the people in charge.
No,
That's the problem.
But when we say when we say an election is rigged, in the minds of folks, people are stealing somebody's vote and giving it to somebody else. Language is very, very important in this. Part of the problem that we had as an early primary state is that a lot of people didn't understand what this primary system was like. They didn't understand what the role of quote-unquote superdelegates or unpledged delegates. They didn't understand the role that they played in this primary system. So the first job that we have to do as a party is make sure we're transparent enough that we educate people about the process so that they know the difference between a caucus and a primary.
Mr. Ronan, respond.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Jamie, for the passion, because you bring up a very valid point. It's the superdelegate system. It's the closed primaries. It's people not knowing how the system works. Go to Democrats.org and try and find out who the chairmen are. Find out who your county chairs are. The system in of itself is not transparent. I've been saying that since day one. We need to get rid of superdelegates. We need to get rid of money. We need to get rid of the upper crust influence. We also need to stop playing these same tired games. Just in Florida, there was that perception, as you said, that the Florida chairman somehow managed to play a game. Whether it's true or not is irrelevant. It's that perception. So, yes, we must needs come together and fix that.
All right, well, hold on a second. Hold on, Jim Green. I want to bring you in on this issue of superdelegates. Do you think their time has passed? Is there a better way? And if so, what?
First, every Democrat and most Americans, because we did win the popular vote, know which election was rigged. Period. Amen. To the superdelegate issue, we do have this transformative
what does that mean? What does that mean that the election was rigged? Are you saying that the president did not win the election?
If there was one vote that was influenced by Russian meddling, that was cheerleaded on by this man in the White House, then that election was influenced by a foreign government and cheerleaded on by the man who is in the White House right now. But to the point of superdelegates and to this issue, the next chair of the DNC has to acknowledge the wounds that the Bernie Sanders supporters have coming out of 2016. And you have to also acknowledge that there are real wounds for Hillary Clinton supporters who feel there was no attention to the sexism and misogyny that she faced.
Amen.
But the real answer, Chris, is specific prescriptions to get there. And tackling superdelegates is one of those answers. I'm the only candidate who has said, I will go to the Unity Commission and ask them to retire this tainted concept. And it was tainted before 2016. And our problems that we're talking about cannot be solely focused in a 2016 lens.
Ms. Green, thanks.
So it's superdelegates, it's caucuses, it's transforming how we meet, and it's transforming our accountability. That's what we can do.
Thank you. I want to turn to a different question in the same vein about the future versus the past. And I'll give this to you, Ms. Boynton-Brown. As you all mentioned in several different occasions, Hillary Clinton did get about 3 million more votes than Donald Trump. With that base of support, would it be a good idea and a good thing for the Democratic Party if, say, Hillary Clinton would want to run again?
I think the important thing that we remember as the Democratic Party is that we're here for small d democracy. If Hillary Clinton wants to put her name on the ballot again, that's her decision. That's not our decision. Our job is to make sure that we run a fair democratic process where anybody can put their name on the ballot. And we support anybody who's on the ballot with the same services, the same resources, and we don't give anybody preferential treatment because they've done it before or they've been here for a long time.
I take your point that obviously you can't tell people whether to run, but as a party, and if you were the chair of the Democratic Party, do you honestly think it would be good or bad to go back to the candidate.
I think you're not understanding my point. My point is, as a leader of our party, it's not my job to say my opinion on that. It is the American people's job in a primary. That's what it's designed to do.